Hey everyone, this is Frank with rcFoamFighters. Welcome back to the bullet plane build part 2. Today we're going to go over the next phase of the build, but at first I wanted to answer a few questions that were asked in the comments section on the video. One of the questions we had was what power system is going to be going into this plane. I've had very good results with the Supo match combo sets, so I'm going to go ahead and use the same motor that I had in the Skyfighter 24. It's a 2200 kV motor. It comes already with the bullet connector soldered on, comes with the motor mount, the prop adapter, and also the female connectors to solder onto the 30 amp speed controller that comes with the combo. I'm also going to be using Zippy Rhino 1350 milliamp 30C batteries. Okay, as for the rest of the components going into the plane, I'm going to be using the Corona digital metal geared servos. I'm going to be using the E-Flight's version of the stick mount. I like their version because it's pretty beefy and it holds up pretty good. As far as control horns, I just got these at the local hobby shop. They're Great Plains control horns. Okay, here's a list of the breakdown of the cost of all these parts. One of the other questions we got was, how do you cut the foam board, and do you use a jig to make the 45-degree angle bevels? All these cuts are done by hand. I like to make sure that I use a sharp blade when I do this. So I'm going to flip the blade around, make sure it's got a new sharp edge on it. Foam board's a little tougher to cut than Dapron. I just use a straight edge and line it up onto the template. And don't try to cut it all in one pass. First try to get through the first layer of cardboard first. And if it takes 2 or 3 passes to do it, just take your time. You want to make a nice clean cut. Usually by the 3rd pass it just comes off. And like I said, just take your time so that you get nice straight cuts. Okay, as far as the 45-degree bevels, I mark a line on the top of the foam board, the same thickness as the material in from the edge. This material is 3/16 of an inch in, so I come in 3/16 of an inch, draw the line. You can't put the straight edge right on the line. You need to make it about 1/8 of an inch farther in than the line. And then you're going to hold the blade at a 45-degree angle and cut along the line. The first pass you just want to try and get through the cardboard and follow the line. And in the following passes, you'll go all the way through. And again, just take your time so you make sure you get a nice straight cut, and make sure you're holding the blade steady and not cutting through the bottom piece of cardboard. Again, by the time you get through the 3rd pass, it should pretty much fall off of there. There you go. Okay, this last question that we've been asked fits in good with the next phase of the build. A few people have been asking what we use to cover these foam board models. In general, we use sealing tape. If we're making a model out of colored foam board, I like to use the clear sealing tape. It gives it a nice shiny gloss. If it's made out of the white foam board like this model, we can use various different colors of sealing tape. Okay, and on this plane, because it has a KF airfoil, and I have removed some of the cardboard off the top of the foam board to get the angled bevel on the front of the wing, I want to reinforce it with some strapping tape, so I'm using the Scotch weaved strapping tape, which is lighter and stronger than most of the other ones that I've found out there. It works very good at doing some reinforcing. I'm going to go ahead and finish covering up the plane, and we'll start the video back up after that so you can see what it looks like. As you can see, I got pretty much most of the bottom of the wing covered. I want to show you guys how I go about doing this. Usually I start from the center and work my way out. Because this wing has a KF airfoil on it, it's going to be a little more difficult to cover. So I do the strips in two pieces. Cut off a piece a little bit longer than what you need for the first part. I usually try to overlap about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And this can be the most tedious part of the build. You really have to take your time, make sure that the tape fits on there nice and flat without any air bubbles. I usually like to use a stir stick to get to the hard to reach places, such as the edge of this airfoil. Just push it up in there. Once you got it up against the edge, you can go ahead and use your finger. Make sure it's up against it really good. And then trim it off just a little bit taller than what you need. And then I fold it over using my fingernail. On the back side, I usually trim it to the same thickness as the material, so I can just fold it over. This one's a little more difficult because it's right at the bend, so you gotta cut it at an angle. And then where the bend is, I make a slice. That way you can fold it over without crinkling it. And then just fold over the other half. Next, I cut the piece that's going to go onto the top part of the foil. Again, cut it a little bit longer than what you need. Line it up with the other piece you just put down. Again, getting about 1/8 of an inch overlap. And you have to be very careful not to get air bubbles in it. Just work it from one end to the other. And on the back edge, I use a razor blade just to trim it off. Make sure you've got a sharp blade. And on the front side, trim it so that it'll wrap around the front edge of the wing. I'm not too worried with being too straight right now because it will get a covering along it'll get covered again along the leading edge. Okay, there you go. Hey everyone, this concludes part 2 of the build. Be sure to check us out again next weekend for part 3 where I start installing all the other components. But for the meantime, check out some of the links that I put in the sidebar. There's the sites that I listed in the website in this video. And also I put a link in there for the Skyfighter 24. If you haven't seen what this power system can do, check it out. Thanks for watching. This is Frank with RC Foam Fighters. Bye.